Hi, Demonic Angel, and today I was going to do my Samigina videos to show, but I forgot this really cool looking candle thing that I'm using in the workings and it's not with me. So I was like, well, I'll just pick a different topic for today and then we'll go from there. But that's still coming up soon. I put Samigina sigil on a candle, and I'm going to use that, and then at the end of the workings I'll burn it. Because like they say with the Goetia, you're always supposed to put the sigil in some way on your body or near you when you do the workings. So that's kind of what I was going for. Man, I didn't know if I was ready for this, but I'm gonna just try. I don't really think there will be like a good, perfect time. I was almost thinking of sharing my reincarnation story. I've had some people ask about that anyway. So, when I was young, I would have dreams of little snippets of what kind of almost to me seemed to be of another ghost. Because when I was a kid, I dreamed and I usually saw dead people with my own eyes. But I did find it weird that I would dream about this instead. So in dreaming about this, it was like, kind of that of, boy, I used to really like these candies, the C's candies. And I didn't really have a reference for that. And then I just always felt this really close connection with my dad that I really couldn't explain. I just felt like I had known him, and then I didn't really think about it too much. When I was young, I had really blonde hair. So I didn't look like what I look like now. This is my natural hair. And so, I would kind of almost remember this little girl, but she had brunette hair, like I do now. And it was like that kind of thinking of remembering that way. But to sort of get to the meat and bones of the story, as I aged, and especially around puberty, when the paranormal phenomenon was getting really crazy, because that was like, some of the few things that I've experienced that are truly obviously outside of me and there's no logical explanation. I had visions of this brunette-haired, except now she was about a teenager and I was still blonde, of her reading and muttering things to me in my peripheral subconscious, we'll say. And I didn't really know what to think about that because, once again, I do have experiences with the dead often in my own mind. So I don't always think that it's special or pay particular attention because there's a lot of information that I'm usually filtering out. But it was really intense, and I felt like that woman, her presence calmed me through the paranormal. She was confident and beautiful and strong, a little bit taller than me, and also had darker skin than me. But I never was able to focus on her face too much. So, but it was like always in my mind in a different way than the ghost and the astral plane and other people's emotions. And I try so hard to obviously articulate it, but it became stronger. So after puberty and after the paranormal stopped, I was developing some pretty severe depression, and I would say antisocial behaviors. And I started drinking alone at 14. And I did this, I didn't have consensual sex till I was like 19. And I got sexually abused for like 6 months when I was like 16. That was my first sexual experience besides kissing. So, I mean, I have this dark history in this life for me as well, but as soon, like when I don't know what, like my parents weren't around, and I went in their liquor cabinet and I turned the shower on, because my old grandma was living with us at the time. They left her behind. I just didn't want, I don't know why I thought that would make her not think anything. And I turned on the shower and I just started to drink some vodka straight from the bottle. And of course I didn't drink that much, but the burning that it made, that it felt, and the warmth that you sort of get from taking that sort of shot of hard liquor, that really was this, wow, this is this familiar feeling. God, have I missed this comfort? And it really relieved the depression and anxiety that was building for me, really badly. Obviously, I wish that I would have been able to use some of my higher consciousness earlier, but that's not the way that it works, as you guys know. So I'm just like, okay, and it developed into I would drink alone, and I still would think about these dead people, but the content of that can be very overwhelming and scary. They have a lot of problems for obvious reasons, and because they're earthbound. And that would disturb me along with my own where do I draw the line at? My father's addiction, which I didn't understand. I just knew sometimes he was moody and did not want to be with me. And then obviously, I think on many levels that hurt me, probably karmically as well. So I just felt like that was something I knew, drinking was something that it was something that I had obviously been doing for a while, and not in this life. And then it was like the visions of the woman she was frantic and upset. And I think she, meaning my higher consciousness, would even, at the end when I was going to get sober, I had this dream where my vital organs came out of my body and they came after me, trying to attack me because I was killing them. And that's a very symbolic dream. But it meant a lot to me, and I believe that my past life can generate these images, access to that information. It really does, it does feel like my last life is growing up with me, so that it's become stronger to the point where I had this full conscious realization. I was like, I remembered like my dad being born, and I remembered being really fond of like angels, and then all these years later I did find out that she was obsessed with or liked angels figurines, and she loved chocolate. And then like another random funny thing is like I think it's really like attractive when people smoke. I know that's really weird, but the act of somebody kind of blowing smoke. I don't smoke tobacco anymore. I did for 7 years. I think that's another past life attraction, and then I find out I didn't know anything about her in real life until a couple of years ago. And it really matches up. And the grand thing was like, I saw a picture of her and she's about 30 years old. And wow, this woman from she lived to be 90, looks like me. Like if you were to put me in a Victorian dress and do my hair all up and stuff, that would really be it. So the high cheekbones, and I've got a little slightly darker complected skin than say my sister, and she has always had the blonde hair, and I've got a little bit darker eyes, and this is my natural hair color. It's got these sort of, you probably can't see it very good, but streaks of red in it, and now it's this very dark brunette. And and that really changed when I decided to become healthy in who I am, because I'm healing this karma, right? And by realizing and kind of accepting what this other thing has done for me, like I guess kind of going back to that aspect of, in my last life, I believe that coming off of the reservation, did not have really a whole lot of options besides prostitution, is what that came down to. And that's what I did. And I also had some vivid dreams about, I was trying to read these books, and some guy came in and started just beating me. And I later learned in history class that they used to do that to women, and only prostitutes would actually read, or people who are outside of this sort of caste of society would even be able to do that. But because of that, I was, and I can read a lot. It's really weird. I can read like a few books a day, and I can remember all of it. So this kind of weird, or maybe it's the social imbalance aspect of myself, but that's what I do. I can just retain a lot of information, and maybe not really discern what is important and what's not. But I can, I used to go and read all my books for the semester within the first few days, and then I wouldn't have to read for the whole rest of it, which was great. But that was part of it, and I healed. This is really what I think that I was. And it's not glamorous, but it's true. It's very true. And so I guess some of the other things I'll say is that when I was gonna get sober, I had a dream, for 4 nights though, and it was supposed to be 4 was significant somehow, to start drinking this nasty stuff. And at first I thought it was alcohol in the dream. And it was like the smell though of vinegar. And I've bet one of the weird foods I like to eat is just mayonnaise. Sometimes I'll just eat it out of the jar. I still do that, just not as much. I think that I was drawn to vinegar. I was trying to help my body, but now understanding, I actually did look it up. I'm smells like, vinegar or something like that shit on, Google. Apple cider vinegar with the mother align my pH is probably how I chemically was able to get sober and stay that way. And then I didn't go talk to my dad about this. And he came over a while later and he said, yeah, I was talking to, that it would have been his great grandmother, who was Blackfoot, my last life. And I'm like, well, what are you doing, Grandma? And I thought she was drinking liquor. And it was this nasty vinegar stuff, and she drank it every day. And that was really something for me, because I don't share that with my dad, but all the stuff as far as learning about who this person was and what they liked is true. In fact, she even would tell him about the beliefs of the Blackfoot people could maybe have been aliens or these other types of intelligence. And, she was a real storyteller. And, I mean,